him for attending this conference. And I'd also like to acknowledge President Luis Ignacio. When the French newspaper Le Monde named him Man of the Year in 2009 for, quote, personifying a giant. So we're very happy to welcome our guest here in Nigeria. I'd like to invite, thank you, I'd like to invite President Luis Ignacio to take you to the podium for a short keynote address.
Eu acho que o sucesso do nosso governo no Brasil
I think that the success of our government in Brazil
se deve ao fato de não termos feito muitas promessas.
is due to the fact that we did not make many promises.
Eu, no dia da minha posse,
In my inauguration,
eu disse que primeiro eu ia fazer o necessário.
first I said that I will have to do what is necessary.
Depois eu ia fazer o possível.
Then I would do what would be possible.
E se tudo desse certo,
And if everything worked out well,
nós terminaríamos fazendo o impossível.
we would end our term trying to do the impossible.
E eu vou citar alguns números,
And I'm going to quote some figures
porque eu espero que durante o debate
because I hope that during our
a
discussion
gente possa dar as respostas que vocês querem.
we can answer your questions.
Em 10 anos no Brasil,
In 10 years in Brazil,
33 milhões de pessoas deixaram a linha da pobreza.
33 million people were lifted from the 33 million people that lived below the poverty line were lifted from the poverty line.
E 40 milhões de pessoas chegaram à classe média.
And another 40 million were lifted to middle class.
Criamos mais de 17 milhões de empregos formais.
We created 17 million formal jobs.
Temos a menor taxa de desemprego da nossa história.
We have the lowest unemployment rate in our
Menos
history,
de 5%.
5.5% of the population.
E criamos 3 milhões de micro e pequenas empresas no Brasil.
And we opened 3 million small and medium-sized enterprises.
Para 2020 é movimentar 1 trilhão e 800 bilhões de dólares, o quinto maior mercado consumidor do mundo.
And the projections, the forecast for 2020 is that consumer market in Brazil will go up to $1.8 trillion. That is to say, we will become the 5th largest consumer market in the world.
Bem, as minhas viagens para a África é porque eu acredito que o Brasil precisa diversificar as suas relações.
The reason of my trip to Africa is that Brazil needs to diversify its relations.
Nós queremos ter boas relações com os Estados Unidos,
We want to keep our good relations with the
queremos
US.
ter boas relações com a Europa,
We want to keep our good relations with Europe too.
mas o Brasil não podia continuar a fechar os olhos diante das possibilidades dos países africanos.
But of course, Brazil cannot continue shutting its eyes vis-à-vis with the possibility of its relations with Africa.
Em 1855, o Brasil tinha 3.700 brasileiros morando em Lagos.
In 1855, 3,700 Brazilians lived in Lagos.
Era 1/10 da população de Lagos.
In those days, it represented 1/10 of the population.
O Brasil já teve voo direto São Paulo-Lagos.
In the past, we already had direct flights from the city of São Paulo to
O
Lagos.
que aconteceu é que, de repente, o Brasil fechou os olhos para a África.
What happened is that suddenly, in these years, Brazil has
Olhava
closed its
para a
eyes
Europa,
to Africa.
olhava para a Europa,
It was looking towards Europe,
olhava para a China,
it was looking towards China,
não via o continente africano.
but we didn't see the African
E
continent.
quando eu tomei a decisão
And when I made the decision
do Brasil voltar a enxergar a África,
so that Brazil could look back again to Africa,
tinha algumas razões.
there were some reasons for that.
A primeira era a dívida que o Brasil tem com a África.
The first reason was that we owe Africa
O
something. We
Brasil
have an
deve à
indebtedness.
África a nossa cultura,
We're indebted to Africa for our culture,
a nossa música,
our music.
a nossa cor,
We're indebted to Africa for
o
the
nosso
color of our
jeito de
skin,
ser.
our way of being.
Além do que, durante mais de 300 anos,
And even more than that, for 300
foram
years,
os africanos que ajudaram a fazer o Brasil.
It was the Africans that helped build Brazil as a nation.
Essa dívida
This debt,
não se paga com dinheiro.
we cannot pay it back with money.
Essa dívida se paga com solidariedade.
We have to pay this debt back through solidarity.
Essa dívida se paga com mais comércio,
We have to pay back this
mais
debt,
emprego
trade, with job creation,
e com mais investimentos.
and with more investments.
E é isso que o Brasil precisa fazer nesse instante.
And this is what Brazil has to do now.
O Brasil é a sexta economia do mundo.
Brazil is the sixth largest economy in the world.
Em 2016, seremos a quinta economia do mundo.
In 2016, we will become the fifth largest economy in
E
the
o
world.
Brasil pode contribuir de forma decisiva
And Brazil can and will contribute in a
na
decisive way
construção de uma parceria mais forte entre o Brasil e os países africanos.
to build a stronger partnership between Brazil and Africa.
This is Nigeria's acting president in 2010 and took the oath of president after winning the 2011 presidential elections. Prior to that, President Jonathan has been Nigeria's vice president since 2007. President Jonathan has embarked on a powerful and ambitious program to resuscitate industry and agriculture in Nigeria and to repair Nigeria's core infrastructure. It's called the Transformation Agenda. So it's my great pleasure to invite to his podium our President, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, to give his keynote speech. Please give him a round of applause.
It gives me great pleasure being here at this summit with you all today to deliberate on our vision for transforming Nigeria into a global economic power. Corruption and issues of good governance are also being vigorously tackled on all fronts. Nigeria was one of the first signatories to the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, and I recently signed the Anti-Money Laundering Act into law. The 3 tiers of government now meet regularly to review and appraise progress and strategy to bring down corruption in this country. The fertilizer sector was one sector that was infested with all kinds of corrupt practices. Federal government and state government spend huge sums of money to subsidize fertilizer that never gets to the farmer. And even the little that gets to the farmer, in most cases, are adulterated with sand and others. That has been cleaned up. You also realize that we wanted to also sanitize the oil industry in the same manner by removing the subsidy of hydrocarbons, where of course the economists will know that that is a global trend. No country can do well economically if you continue to waste resources that be geared into supporting the ordinary people in subsidizing hydrocarbons, that the greater percentage of consumption go to even the people, the affluent. We believe that as we progress, government is going to negotiate and enlighten Nigerians properly, and probably later that will come up for public discourse. Through the implementation of the integrated payroll and personal information system, the problem of ghost workers in the public service has been significantly reduced, and over 100 billion naira saved in the past few years. Let me reiterate here clearly and unequivocally that my administration is firmly committed to the fight against corruption and the recovery of ill-gotten wealth. We shall never relent in this undertaking. Nigerians know, and especially those who live in Lagos, that you are spending less money buying diesel monthly, because that indicates that we are yet to get to where we want to go, but definitely we are on the correct track. Power will not be solved overnight, but we are at least assured that the most competent and painstaking solutions are being progressively applied once and for all. And by the time we'll conclude with the privatization process and the legacy issues we have, of course, the growth of the power sector will be an automatic gear. Government will no longer even propel it to just grow on its own. Reinforced by our key international development agencies, we are reforming our overall business environment. Monthly monitoring and statistical reviews are now in place in assessing the progress made in streamlining the ease of doing business in Nigeria. According to the United Nations Council on Trade and Development, as a result of this progress and attractive large market, Nigeria became the largest destination for investment in Africa in 2011. Another fundamental goal of our reform agenda is the diversification of our economy away from the oil sector into agriculture, housing, manufacturing, creative industry, and other sectors that generate jobs and grow the economy. In the agricultural sector, significant changes are underway nationwide. Encouraged by our reforms, small, medium, and large-scale farmers alike are imbibing an increasing business-minded reorientation in their outlook and practices. In manufacturing, we're intensifying backward integration by giving incentives to investors in different value chains, especially those in which Nigeria has a competitive and comparative advantage, like sugar, textiles, and food processing. We established the Youth Enterprise with Innovation in Nigeria, what we give the acronym YOUWIN. The idea is to create a young entrepreneurship among the young, to create jobs for themselves, not just waiting for government jobs, but go into small and medium-scale enterprises so that one youth can employ 5 or more youth. And our target is that program alone will be able to give us over 80,000 jobs in the shortest possible time. We have laid a solid foundation for international partners to come in and fully support our efforts through investment. I can assure you that my administration is firmly committed to the full implementation of this agenda. The ongoing reforms will not only help us attain our long-term development objectives as a nation, but also engender a better and more fulfilled life for all Nigerians, and in doing so, help build our international image.